What's going on, guys? Lucky Brent here. Just going to do a quick fantasy review for round 16. Sorry it's taken so long. Just struggled for time this week. So 2161 I scored last week, which was really quite good, really positive. We moved up ranking about 700 spots, so to 2800 from 3600. Another good week like that and get us towards the 2000 marks, that'd be fantastic, and push on to get within the top 1000, which would be my goal at this stage. Defense was great. Sicily was fantastic on Friday night for Hawthorn against Collingwood. Shannon Hearn was solid for 94, and the role he plays will be similar to Sicily and Impey this Friday night against Collingwood as well. So I expect good things from Shannon Hearn on Friday night. Rory Laird was quite good, 98. A little bit nervous for him coming up against the Gold Coast. They really knuckled down on their halfback, scoring, I guess you'd say. Basher Hooley was kept pretty low, and the week before that there was someone else they kept really quiet. Jake Lloyd. That doesn't bode well for Laird this week, but hopefully they go to Brody Smith or one of those other flogs. So that's a little bit of a worry. Jake Lloyd was fantastic this week, bounced back from his 48 against the Gold Coast with a 113. Tom Stewart was as solid as always, just seems to knock out the tons pretty consistently, and I'm really stoked with that. And Sydney Stack rounded out my defence, and he was solid enough. He got his 72, so pretty stoked with that. The midfield was a bit of a mixed bag. Josh Kelly, Tim Taranto, Brad Crouch, scoring high 80s, early 90s. Trelaw was solid enough, got his ton. Jack McRae, same. Bontempelli was fantastic. A pretty big point of difference for me this year. He scored 124, which I think went a long way to helping my scoring. Cornelio was fantastic on the Sunday against Brisbane. Looked like he could be anything. I think he was pretty close to the ton at half time. So 146 will take all day. The other rookie I had on ground was Nick Hind. Nick Hind with his 39, which kind of hurt a little bit. So that's been a big part of my trades this week, is how to make him an emergency so I don't have to rely on his score so much. Grundy got his 100. Didn't really expect much more than that against McAvoy. McAvoy has been a solid ruckman this year, in terms of fantasy scoring, he's I can't think of the last time he gave up a ton before Grundy, and Grundy only just got there. So my trade last week was Max Gawn down to Rowan Marshall, mainly because of the Saints draw towards the end of the year, and a 108 return against Goldstein was solid enough. I'm happy with that, and probably my trade for round 18 will be to move Marshall into the midfield and use like a Warple to get back up to Gawn, so I get both of them. The forward line was where I crumbled a little bit, and I think that's where a lot of teams crumbled this week. Obviously, Boki, the late withdrawal in the showdown, had potential to hurt us on ground and for the power. But I had Jared Cameron from West Coast as backup, so he came in for his 53, which was really quite solid. I was pretty stoked with that. Dunkley just keeps getting it done. Potential captain option this week. 120, can't be sneezed at that. Dangerfield was good, bouncing back from my captain choice of him. And you think back to my last two captain choices, I could have skyrocketed in the last 2 weeks and been a lot higher than the 2700 if I didn't blow the captains. So 114 for Danger was nice. Tim Kelly, disappointing, got my there was two players that got my -3, and it was him and my captain choice of Dusty Martin. Seemed like a really good idea at the time. 58 was not a just reward. Very disappointed with that. And then Warple rounded out my forward line with 88. So this week, what I'm looking at is obviously Kelly is injured. Will be out for 3 weeks, so we'll be trading him. And I recommend anyone to trade him. I wouldn't like to hold the best premium in the game for 3 weeks. So yeah, Josh Kelly has to go. I'm going to bring Andrew Gaff in. Gaff has a really good end to the year in terms for midfielders. So he'll go, and I've got Oscar Baker on the bench that was obviously dropped last week. He'll go to Ryan Burton in defence. So the trades I had to make with Kelly going down to Gaff and then Oscar Baker up to someone, I only had about the I think it was 505k and Burton's 500. It was something very close to that. Now Burton's got a really good break even, and he has been solid for us. So it was 535 I would have had, and Burton was 530. So that's about as solid as I could hope for. I was hoping to get to around the 550, 560 mark and bring Hammer in. But 530 for Burton, who's had a fantastic 2 or 3 weeks, is not a bad option. Obviously, he had the sort of hamstring awareness scare. I think that was before the buys. But he looks to be fully back from that and looked really good on the weekend against the Crows. When you look at that Chad Wingard pickup, I've had Dersmer all year in my fantasy league, and you think we got him, we got Ryan Burton in that trade. We've definitely come up trumps there. Now, the future might prove me wrong if Wingard wins them a final or something like that, but that just looks so far away at the moment that we're well ahead in that trade. So what that effectively means for me is I've got no rookies on ground, or the only rookie I've got from the start of the year is Sydney Stack. And he's in my M8 spot at the moment, so he's my mate. So yeah, it's looking really positive. Another big week coming. Obviously, in terms of captains and stuff this week, you look in the doggies, boys. I might look at Gaff on debut as captain against Collingwood. There's a few others as well. Jack McRae, Bontempelli. Is that about it? Shannon Hearn could be a pod captain. I doubt though. I wouldn't sleep well with that. I expect Boki to play as well. All the news out of Adelaide is that Boki will play. So yeah, I'm confident that he'll play. If we were playing away and he had to fly today or tomorrow and we were going up to Brisbane, I probably wouldn't be so confident of that. But yeah, I'm pretty confident Boki will play at home on Sunday. We're playing Brisbane. It's going to be a cracking game of footy. We can't afford to rest him a week if he's 95% fit or something like that. I think he has to play. What were the other injury concerns? Cornelio's another injury concern. Now, I saw him go, I think it was his last kick before halftime. He looked like he had done a calf, or he pulled up really, really short from it. Played out the rest of the game, and it didn't faze him whatsoever. Like, he was fantastic. And then the last kick of the game, same thing, pulled up short, looked really sore. News out of GWS was they were confident that he would play when they announced that Kelly wouldn't. So you can only take that on face value and expect him to play. I suppose we'll know tonight anyway, and I'll follow this up tomorrow as well, hopefully before lockout, and we'll get some more of an idea of where we're at. Burton could be big this week. Brisbane are giving up a lot of points, and Burton doesn't play the full halfback role. He drifts into the wing. He provides a lot of run and carry, and the way we were possessing the ball in the showdown last week, he could get a lot of plus sixes down back and hopefully drift forward and kick a snag. But there's not too much pressure on Burton from my point of view. I think his break even would be about mid-70s, early 80s. And I think he'll cover that. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. If he can get more for me than Stack did last week, so the 72 to 90 type mark, I'll be really, really stoked with that. And then, we look into next week's trades. Warple to Gawn is probably my biggest trade-in. I'm hoping Gawn plays well this week. Not because, obviously, I don't want him to play too well because I don't have him, but I want him to get close to that break-even. So next week when I bring him in, it's not like I'm going to drop a load of cash just by bringing him in. There is the flip side to that as well. If he goes and scores a 50 and looks really poor, and he could drop a shitload of cash before I even bring him in, which would be cool too. I mean, I won't sniggle with a discount, that's for sure. The next lot of trades will be determined this week. Tim Taranto's had a really poor fortnight, or not a really poor fortnight, but poor to his standards. He's been one that has shown a massive ceiling, and maybe Kelly going out will help with that ceiling. Brad Crouch is another. He's been consistent. He's been really, really good. But if you're chasing a ceiling like I probably will going into the last couple of weeks to try and boost my ranking, then Brad Crouch could be an option to go out. If I can generate, I've still got plenty of cash on the bench, so I've got Naish that will go down to Goddard. Goddard might be named tonight. Obviously, I don't have that luxury this week with Kelly being injured and wanting to get all rookies off ground. I don't want another week of playing Nick Hind. One thing that might change with that, if Goddard and, say, Oscar Baker are named and they are named as playing, then I might reverse trades and go Gaff down to... Kelly down to Gaff, and then take, like, Naish down to Goddard and play Baker instead of Hind. That could be an option as well, and probably a nice one for cash generation stakes, because if Carlton are deciding to play Goddard, they've got to play him for a couple of games, you would have thought. There's no point in bringing in a kid and giving him a week and then, chucking him to the wayside just to see what he's like for a week. I mean, he's got to play consistently, surely. So anyway, that's a bit of my thoughts so far. Obviously, things might change when the teams are announced. Hoping Cornelio gets up and does his thing, and then there's Boak obviously as well. I know Boak will get named tonight. I expect us to have no outs, and Boak Ryder was ill today, so he might not be named. Houston as well was ill for the Power, so whether that hinders Burton if he has to play more of a lockdown role on like a Cameron or something like that's something to think about as well. But at this stage, before teams are announced, I'm quite happy with where my trades are at. Quite happy where we sit, the 2,700 mark. Definitely the highest I've been at in any fantasy league season. So yeah, we're just going to keep pushing and push for the 2,000 mark, and then hopefully come in shorter. I'd love to finish top 1,000. To be in that top 1% mark would be absolutely massive for me, and then we'll warm up for next year basically, and yeah, I'll do a lot of videos during the postseason as well about, the draft and the quality kids coming through, the next potential cash cows. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, and it might come into consideration with Burton if Houston doesn't play, is Grant Birchall. Birchall's playing in his first game. I haven't seen his price. Can I bring that up if I search for him? Birchall. Birchall's 350k. Now, obviously he hasn't played for, what was it, 770 days or something like that. But at his best, he was, a solid enough fantasy player. Like, they're not going to bring him in and not use him in a link up, or it'll assist with Sicily picking up down back and stuff like that as well. Might allow them to push Impey up onto a wing as well. He's been in great form. So Freo gave up a lot to defenders last week. Obviously Hearn scored quite nicely, and so that's a potential option as well. That'll bake me enough cash to make sure I get gone next week, and then really then I could probably go like a Logue up to someone as well at some stage, and then have Birchall as bench cover, which I wouldn't sneeze at that at all. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, guys. Hope you're having an awesome day. Thanks to everyone that got on the round 16 video. Got our first subscriber. Absolutely stoked about that. So follow me on Twitter at Lucky Brent and Lucky Brent 18. And we'll move forward. I'll post probably tomorrow or Saturday. We'll do a preview of the Port v Brisbane once we get the full teams, and weather doesn't look so great. It'll be wet again, so whether that impacts us or not, we'll discuss then. So for now, guys, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I hope announcements for teams are kind to you in the fantasy world. Cool. Take it easy, guys.